Yeah, trendsetter, whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center, hit it dead center. Bullseye, hit it the most, is no misses. Something like fish in a barrel, it's no different. Blindfold on me, I still got the most vision. Trendsetter.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Carnivore Evolution. We're here with our hosts Mark Ennis and Lisa Moss, and our guest today is Angela Lerro. I'm Victoria Olson, and we're going to talk to Angela, who is an intuitive health practitioner, a Reiki Master, and energy healer devoted to helping others to awaken the healer within themselves. After walking her own path through a long battle of chronic illnesses caused by mold toxicity, Lyme disease, confections, and also breast cancer, Angela rebuilt her health and now guides others through complex chronic and autoimmune conditions. And she's been a carnivore for how long now, Angela? 4 years?
Almost
4.5?
4.5 years.
Almost 5 years,
Year.
yes. And we'd love to hear about you, your carnivore journey, your recovery from illnesses, and your work. Welcome, Angela.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for inviting me onto your podcast and allowing me to share my journey with you all. It's such a pleasure and an honor to be here. So thank you very much. Um, I first want to just say that Carnivore has really just been such a tremendous space, not just to heal myself physically, but the community and the people that it has connected me to. And I think everybody that's in this space can agree that the bonds that we all share about how this diet has changed our lives for the better in all ways, not just physical, but emotionally and spiritually, just says so much. And so, I'm just so grateful that I can come on and connect with you all. I mean, Coach Mark, I got to meet you or connect with you a couple years ago, but you've now brought two beautiful women into my life, Victoria and Lisa. So I feel like I just get to keep collecting great people on this journey. So thank you.
Me too. I love that aspect of it. So many wonderful people.
So
Yeah.
wonderful.
So can we go back? Can we go back to a couple of years ago? So I already know your story, but for those people that don't know your story, just give us a little backstory on how you got into carnivore, how it actually changed your life. Just a little backstory before we keep going.
Absolutely. So, I had breast cancer back in I got diagnosed in May 2013. And my whole life, I was plagued and diagnosed with so many different mysterious illnesses. And then I was 28 years old, I get diagnosed with breast cancer. And it was just like, okay, all these many mysterious health issues. And then all of a sudden it's breast cancer. And it wasn't genetic. I don't have any history of breast cancer. But that diagnosis is what really led me into more of a holistic healing path. But I feel like as it led me down to a beautiful spiritual path of understanding how our emotions and our energy can connect with our physical health. It led me also to a place of plant-based diets and eating mostly vegetables and fruit and starches and legumes. And my body was just not processing them the way that one would think that it would. I was always covered in hives. I was constantly inflamed. I had a lot of serious digestive issues. But I just kept going because, that was what I was taught, that, plants were medicine. Well, maybe they are if you take them in medicinal forms of like tinctures, but when we are consuming them to a degree of what we are taught to consume them in, they can lead to a lot of other ailments, such as like histamine intolerance, the body's inability to break down oxalates and salicylates. And I didn't realize that those compounds and those defense chemicals in the plants were actually killing me rather than healing me. So fast forward from 2013 to 2019, I had a surgery for something called thoracic outlet syndrome, which was basically a rib resection. I had to have a rib removed in my top left rib due to it was that rib and my clavicle were compressing on my brachial plexus and my subclavian artery. Now, at the time, I didn't know that I was living in mold. I was living in a water damaged home, and I was in a pretty stressful relationship. And I also didn't know that I had underlying Lyme disease and also some co-infections, Bartonella and Babesia. I didn't really know any of that because most of all of that was running dormant, and it was showing up in mysterious symptoms my entire life. But that surgery unlocked Pandora's box, and it wasn't until about a year and a half after that surgery, because after that surgery, everything in my life started to fall apart because my health kept declining. And I was still on my mostly plant-based diet, thinking that, my diet at that time wasn't the solution. That was actually part of the problem, and it wasn't the solution. And I didn't really understand that my diet, being plant-based, was actually causing me at that time a lot more harm than good. And it wasn't just my diet, it was also my environment. But I had to really understand that. And at the time, that was the one thing that was my missing piece. And it wasn't until I was on my deathbed, and that's when everything really started to kind of hit the fan, if you will. I did not know that I had Lyme, but I was at that point diagnosed with every single neurological condition under the sun. I could not walk. I was fainting multiple times a day. I had to actually teach my German Shepherd Husky mix to be my service dog, and he had to teach me how to walk. I had an assistant who would help me walk. I wasn't able to cook the way that I used to be able to. I used to love cooking, and I used to create a lot of recipes around vegetables, and that was just part of my identity. And my reactions were just starting to get extreme, and I started having to go to the hospital every couple of days for an anaphylactic reaction because my body was so inflamed from not only the plants but the mold, the Lyme, the Babesia, and the Bartonella that I didn't know at the time. But I developed something called mast cell activation syndrome, which was caused from these infections that were just running rampant in my body, and no doctors in California could figure it out. So I went back to Pennsylvania, which is where I was born and raised, and my mom was having a knee replacement surgery, so I was attempting to help her in the middle of my own health crisis, but that led me to learning about Lyme disease. And in fact, it was my old neighbor who just happened to call me one day while I was in the middle of having another anaphylactic episode and was like, "Have you ever been tested for Lyme?" And I'm like, "I lived in California for 22 years. And he said, "But you were born and raised here in Pennsylvania." And people now are finding out that their lifelong weird mystery chronic illnesses were all stemmed from Lyme and mold toxicity and these co-infections. So long story short, I was very resistant to getting tested, but I'm so glad that I did, because that's how I found out that my whole lifelong journey of battling chronic conditions actually stemmed from Lyme disease and these co-infections, and then they were really exasperated by a surgery and by being exposed to mold when I was in my last home. So at that point, though, I was so I became so allergic to plants, and the only thing that I wasn't reacting to was meat. And I was like, this is insane. So I knew nothing about the carnivore diet. I just knew that, okay, I'm going to react. What am I reacting to? I was reacting to vegetables, but I was still somewhat reacting to meat, but at least my reaction was much more manageable than eating plants. So that's when I learned that, you could get something called low histamine meat. And so I went on a journey to find non-aged meat. In that journey was how I started researching on Google, like, can I survive off of just eating meat? And that's when I learned about the carnivore diet, and I found Dr. Paul Saladino's book, The Carnivore Code, when he was still very much carnivore. I read that book. I then found Dr. Sean Baker's book. I read that book, and I just thought I thought I was going insane that this was possible. And I ended up just sitting in meditation one night and saying, like, is this the right thing? Is this the right choice? And at that point, I was only like 89 pounds. Um, if somebody said that I was going to get well off of eating cake and ice cream, I probably would have done it. And my doctors were telling me that they were ready to put me on TPN and a feeding tube because there was no way that I was able to get enough nutrition. And I just prayed to God. Really, I just sat there and I was like, okay, if this is what I'm supposed to do, then please help me. And I remember getting a solid confirmation in my bed, just saying, your body is too weak to do anything and it needs to conserve energy, and meat is the only option. So let meat be your medicine. And that's when I started my journey. And I couldn't find non-aged farms. I actually called over 500 farms in this country, in the US, and that led me to a meat producer called Billy Doe Meats. And I only consumed their meat for 3 years. And I went nose to tail. I went from not just eating their muscle meat, but I went into eating their organs. And at that time, I actually even let go of eating beef and I stuck to eating mainly goat, veal, and lamb. And then as I healed more, I was able to tolerate eating more beef. And from that journey, that's when I really, was able to build my body back up nutritionally so that I could then start treating the infections and the mold and the viruses that were lingering in my body. But I had to do that. I had to get my body strong first, because when I first saw my first Lyme doctor and we discovered that I had this lifelong, he just looked at me and he said, "You are my sickest patient in over 30 years and I don't even know what to do with you. So you're going to have to figure out a way to get yourself strong, because anything I give you right now could potentially kill you." So it really forced me to take everything into my own hands and to become my own healer and heal myself. And that's why I've become so passionate about turning my pain into purpose and help others take back their power from dis-ease and become their own greatest healers.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And honestly, I don't know about you ladies, but I just love hearing this kind of stories, because
Oh, me
I mean
too.
the way you said that we need to take the power into our own hands. I mean, if everybody knew this, honestly, the world would be a different
Yep.
place, because we
Yes.
were all led down the same path, that when we're struggling with our health, we need to go on these low fat diets. We need to eat more vegetables. These are all healthy for us. But as Dr. Shafia said, plants are trying to kill us, and it's proven. It's been proven time and time and
Yeah.
time again. And I only had this conversation with. I was speaking to Lisa before we got on this call. I actually spoke to a woman. Oh, it was about 6 or 8 months ago. She reached out to me, and she was telling me that she was battling with Lyme disease, and she was losing an awful lot of weight. And I was telling her, I said, listen, what does your diet look like? Because that's the first thing I always ask when someone reaches out to me. I always ask, okay, what's your diet like? And she told me that she's eating the oats, she's eating the fruits, she's eating the vegetables, and she was absolutely convinced her diet was perfect. And she was on a list of medication, so much medication. And I said, listen, it's not going to work. And the minute I said to her, like, listen, get off all of this and get on a meat-based diet, she put the phone down and she was like, no, this is not going to work for me. And
Oh, that's so sad.
it's incredible, because
Mhm.
I spoke to this woman for about 20 minutes. She was in a lot of pain, a lot of severe pain, and you're trying to help these people. You really are trying to help these people, but they just can't see past the bullshit that we've been told for so long, that a low fat diet is good for us. And now we have Angela. You've seen her. I've actually shown people your when the Daily Mail when it comes up, and I'm like, listen, just look at this. Just look at this.
Yeah.
Look at this. What this woman has actually accomplished. Not just yourself. There's other people out there in the carnivore space that have done it. And it's like, just look at these people. There's your evidence right there. What are the evidence do you want?
Totally.
But it's just, people are just absolutely brainwashed, that they're absolutely convinced that vegetables and fruits and low fat diet is the way to go. And it's sad. It really is. It's so sad.
Angela, could I ask you, what kind of a time frame did you have? How long did it take for carnivore to relieve your symptoms?
Mm.
Well, that's a great question. Um, I want to say my symptoms were so all over the place, but I have to say that my biggest symptom that it relieved first was gastroparesis. And I love talking
Mm.
about this because what do people do when you eat a meat-based diet? That you can't poop,
Yeah.
really slows down, and that you don't eat, and that you don't poop because your body's just fermenting all that meat. And I'll
Hmm.
never forget, I was going sometimes weeks without being able to go to the bathroom. And obviously, when you're battling any type of toxicity and you're not eliminating, you become even more toxic. And so when
Mm.
I was suggesting that I'm like, well, I'm going to do this carnivore diet, so everybody's like, but you already have motility issues. Isn't that going to make it
Mm.
worse? Are you going to get sicker? Like, this doesn't seem right. And that was like overnight talking about like the first time I had my first steak without any potatoes or rice or anything. It was like, oh, I'm going to the bathroom the next day the way I'm supposed to. And I became so regular and regulated. And that was, like I said, and it just got better. Like my gut health was one of the first things that started to really transform. And then I would say within another 2 to 3 months, I started noticing that I was able to have more energy. And so my energy levels started to increase. And then I would say at month like 4, like I would say, yeah, so like that was like month like 1 through 3, and then 3 through 6 was when my energy levels came back, and then 6 through 9 I was started to really feel like myself again. And then it just kept getting better. My brain fog started lifting. My skin started heal like my at the same time my skin started healing. I stopped having hives, and I noticed the biggest thing also was I went 6 months without having any type of anaphylactic reaction. So that was huge for me because I was going every other day having a reaction. I was with
Wow.
Benadryl.
Wow.
So
That's so dramatic. Wow.
yeah.
So Angela, my question is, so you did all the vegetables thinking that this was going to cure you, you know, you were going to feel better doing all these vegetables and that. So what was it that made you, did you just decide, oh, I'm just going to put a piece of like try a piece of meat in here? Like how was it that you kind of like decided, okay, maybe the vegetables are not what I need. It's actually the meat. So like, did you just decide, well, I'm just going to like try a piece of chicken, or like, how was that like transition over, you know, like what did you decide one day? Oh, I'm just going to try a piece of meat and just see what happens. Is that kind of how it happened, or?
So I always allowed myself when I was even plant-based. I guess why I called myself like plant-based because I didn't give up meat entirely. I allowed
Oh,
myself
okay.
I allowed myself to have meat maybe once or twice a week because I never wanted to get rid of it, but I would eat like Monday, Wednesday, Friday would always be like my plant only vegetable days. And that plant, yeah, like juices, smoothies, whatnot. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, I would allow myself to have chicken or a turkey burger or a steak. And then Saturdays was kind of more of like a, whatever floated my boat. So but I was so focused on how much meat. So I would have, like a palm size. I'd have, some eggs, something like bacon, so it was always something small, not like anything too big. But the one day, what happened was I was at a friend's house and she had just got like a quarter or a half a cow, and she's like, here, like she made me some ground beef, and she's like, here, and I didn't have anything to put with it. She's like, I was like, you want me to just eat this like this? And he's like,
Yes.
she's like, I'm sorry, I don't have
Yes, I'm sorry.
any bread or anything. And I was like,
No,
okay.
no side dishes.
So I was sitting there eating it, and I noticed, I was like, I'm like, I'm not reacting to this. Okay.
Wow.
And then
Mm-hmm.
the next day, that was when um, I was making, this was like when I didn't really understand carnivore yet. That was just like a fluke. And I was like, oh, I didn't react. And then the next day I made something for my mom, and I remember adding some arugula and some olive oil and was making this salad. And I remember eating the pork. I think I was eating either pork or another meat. I can't remember. It was so long ago. But I remember it wasn't until then I started eating the arugula and the olive oil that I started going into that reactive state. And that's when my old neighbor happened to call and was like, has she ever been tested for Lyme? And I'm like, no.
Mm-hmm.
But
Light bulb.
yeah. So, I said, I have an autonomic neurological condition. That's what my doctors diagnosed me with. So it has to be that. And, at that time, I was like, at the same time, I'm like, I need to find the root of this autonomic neurological condition. And it seems that what I'm eating is making it worse. So there has to be some sort of reasoning behind this. And I felt like I had to be Sherlock Holmes, just kind of cutting through everything with a fine tooth comb and a magnifying glass to really be a detective and find out what in fact was going on and why these things that were led to be believed that they were going to heal me were actually hurting me. And
Yeah.
I remember this is before I even knew Dr. Chafee, my friend who gave me the bowl of meat. She was making t-shirts at the time, and I was like, could you make me a t-shirt that says I eat meat because plants are trying to kill me? And I didn't even know anybody
Brilliant.
at that point, and it's just so funny because that has seemed to be the statement that everybody now says is that plants are trying to kill us. So I thought, well, I'm glad that we were
Yeah.
all on the same page, even if we got
Yeah.
from a different place.
Wow.
But like you said earlier, Angela, when you said about medicine, and that we should be looking at nature, more towards nature, and we should be eating like the foods that we were always meant to be eating, and moving away from the things that we were taught to believe. And that's why I don't believe in anything anymore. I don't trust anything anymore. I just say, right, okay, like, listen, what you're telling me about nature, I'm actually going to do the opposite. I'm going to spend more time in the sun. I'm going to eat more red meat. I'm going to eat more fat. I'm going against basically what you guys told me for years, because like when you think about it, when you think about the amount of money that these people are spending, they're spending trillions on the healthcare system, and you're like, for what? What are you spending it for? Think about where that money could go to.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's like how much money are these people making? So much money. You look at them. How long have they been in business now? Over 200 years, something like that. Name
Yeah.
one disease they've cured. Not one.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
one disease. Where
Yeah.
and now all four of us are saying to people, like, look, okay, listen, we're not pushing anything onto you. We're not doctors. We're just saying, just try this diet. Just that's all we're saying. Just try it, because there's no other diet out there that's doing what you guys are going through. I mean, Angela, your story is incredible. Victoria's story is incredible. Lisa has a story as well. We all have these amazing stories that every one of us have gone through. You know, I mean, and we've done all the diets. We couldn't figure it out. We were told, just go by the guidelines, just go by the guidelines. And it's like, you know what? No, it's not working. I'm not going by the guidelines anymore. There has to be another way. I don't want to be. I know for myself, I suffered really badly with depression for a very long time, and I considered many times, okay, I probably need to be on antidepressants because I can't. I don't know what else to do. I've tried every diet. I'm working in the fitness space. I should be able to figure this out myself. Couldn't figure it out. I couldn't understand why I was eating healthy and I was still struggling. Couldn't understand it.
Absolutely. And, and fat is such a healer. I mean, I know we talk a lot in the carnivore space about protein, but I really think we really need to emphasize that fat isn't, it protects our nervous system.
Heals the body,
It heals
yeah. Heals the
the body.
body.
I mean,
Yeah.
when I was really sick, my brain was super inflamed. And the fat is what helped me get my cognitive functions back. It helped me go
Mm-hmm.
from being bedbound and passing out to losing my driver's license to having to be relying on my dog and assistance. And I went from that space to I just went and traveled Europe literally a year ago. Tomorrow is my 1 year anniversary that I went and traveled Europe for 3 months by myself. And like, I remember when I was walking to the bathroom saying, when I get better, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to Europe. And my family and my friends were like, can we just backpack to the bathroom first? And and I understood, and this was like before I found carnivore, and it was interesting because what led me then what ended up doing was I went to Europe and I went and visited so many people in the carnivore space while I was traveling, and I went to Spain on a carnivore retreat for a week, and I traveled England just meeting all the different people in the UK carnivore crew. I didn't get to Ireland yet, Mark, but when I do, I will be the first person I call to come visit. But it was, it was amazing, and everybody was like, "Well, how did you keep your diet?" And I said, people actually, I think the meat over in Europe is even better than the meat here in the States. And I was
Could be.
completely fine. I was great going out to dinners. I was finding farms. People were so generous, and the farmers were so open about their farming practices. I mean, you could just tell that these animals are just being raised in a completely different ecosystem. And my body
Yeah.
was just really
And
thriving carnivore there.
Angela, I just want to say that it is you have an amazing, amazing story. And there's so many people out there with, like you said, those stories. And the message, I guess, is like, there is hope. There's always hope for people, like, to do the same as you did. I was at Meatstock in
Well,
May, and I seen you at Meatstock, and I heard your story, and I just want to say that for the the spiritual part of it, when I went to Meatstock, I wasn't expecting the actual, like, the spiritual part of it all. It's like, and it's something I think that you become when you become carnivore, is that you find, like, you're more connected to nature. You have
mm,
that spiritual side to you that like,
mm,
I even this past winter, I even think I had a spiritual awakening, and all this spiritual stuff was happening to me, and I was like, wow, like, 5 years, like, I've
mm,
been carnivore for about almost 5 years now too, so pretty much the same as you. And like, before that, it's like, okay, like, you believe in things, but now it's much deeper. And when you at Meatstock, I was like, it's giving me goosebumps now to even talk about it. But, like, so many stories, and the first thing they say is, like, they bring God, they say, I'm thanking God, like, God helped me.
mm,
And
mm,
it's just so, the stories are so amazing, and it's just so spiritual, and it's just it's a whole different feeling. Like, and unless you go to something like that, like, you don't realize it. But, like, it's just a whole different thing. Like, you can't even explain it until, it's not just about the meat. It's how everything makes you feel. Like you said, the community and how people support each
yeah,
other. And, like, we just love, like, each other. And so I know
yeah.
you're,
Yes,
No,
I, I
no.
agree.
I think you've made a great point there, Lisa. I think that because the biggest thing I found out carnivore is how relaxed I am. I'm so
yeah,
relaxed. I'm not building myself up anymore. I don't get angry over silly things anymore. I'm just so relaxed. And
so
even when I'm
calm.
having like a conversation, even when I'm having a conversation with people, when these people start getting aggressive or they start talking with a high tone, you're able to control that situation very, very easy. It's incredible. And like you said, it's just the mindfulness. It's the spirituality. It's like you have this aura over your body, this power over your
Yeah.
body. It's just insane. You're walking around and
Mhm.
you have this free gift, and it's just like, wow, wow, wow,
And
wow.
you
But
feel more connected to people. And
yeah.
Yeah,
I
But look
wanted
at
to
our
say,
smiles. Like, look at all of
yeah,
our, like you
yes,
said,
it
Angela, like,
is.
look at our smile. We're just so, you can tell by looking at us, it's not just happiness. Like, this is wellness, right?
Yes, I've
mm,
never been
mm,
happier in my life than on carnivore.
mm,
That really is true. And I feel more connected to people. And like Mark said, relaxation is part of it. I can
mm.
calm down and I can accept things that people say. I'm not constantly defending and fluttering around. It's
Yeah.
such a different
And
me.
that's what it comes down to. We can look at it and we know we did do it. We can a lot. I just wish a lot of people would see this. I wish a lot of people could see that you can actually cure yourself instead of just paying money into the system all the time.
Agree.
I I wish people understood that you literally can cure yourself by just going into nature, doing grounding, going out in the sunshine, eating more red meat, and just
Mhm.
honestly just loving life. And that's what it should be always about. It should never be about weight loss, losing weight, counting
Yeah,
calories,
yeah,
restricting yourself. That's not pure health. That's not what we call health.
exactly, exactly. And it's
Health
not
starts from
aggressive
health.
either.
Absolutely, health from starts from the inside in, the inside out. That's where it starts from. It all starts from the gut. I mean, we only had a guy on our podcast last night, Angela. He was talking about his skin issues. This guy battled with eczema all his life. He's been to all the specialists. Not one of them could help him. Not one. He had to figure this out himself. He decided to go carnivore. He went against the guidelines, and all of a sudden, it's just skin. He's glowing now. He has more confidence. All his skin issues are gone. He battled with skin for years and nobody gave him the answers. I mean, why aren't people not listening to this? Why aren't people not taking these stories in?
That's right. That's right. I know another man that was similar with the skin issues. I wonder if it's the same man. Was it Lash?
No, Raymond Lee,
No,
I think his name is Lee, L-I.
yeah, and there's another guy as well. He lives in New Zealand. He's quite popular in the carnivore space. And there, like I can't remember his name. I interviewed him years ago, but he was his when his video went up on social media, it went viral. Literally went viral, and everybody got a hold of it. But your man that I spoke to last night, Philip, he lives in Florida at the
Also,
moment. He's only a young man. He's only in his 20s, but he was saying like it knocked his confidence. He showed the pictures. You can see his back is covered, his abs are covered, his face was covered, and he was saying it was quite itchy to the point where he couldn't even sleep. It was taking over his life, and he was convinced that it was never going. And he tried every single cream that you can possibly think of. He's been to every single specialist. He took every single bit of medication that these people told him to take, and not one of them could help him. And they were telling him like
shame.
you need to be eating more vegetables. He did it all. He did absolutely, and he couldn't get the answers that he wanted. And this is what we're saying, that a lot of people in the world are going through this.
Mhm.
A lot of people are not getting the answers that they want,
And it's
Mm-hmm.
and it's very, very unfortunate.
yeah, it's and even more like I think about where I was 5 years ago, and the chronic to me like the chronic health issues are just like they just keep getting like more and more and more, and people are just getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and I just don't understand why nobody is questioning this. Like, why are we still getting sicker? Why are we not finding these root causes? Why is Western medicine? I mean, we know the answers. I mean, it all comes down to money and all of that propaganda, but it just baffles me why more people are seeing that their health is declining, yet
Mm.
they don't want to do anything about it. They just want to keep listening to their doctors. And
And they resist. They resist. They don't even want it. They don't want to hear
they
No.
it.
don't want
So that's what I'm saying. You only need to look at what's happening in your country at the moment with JFK. This is the only guy that's on your
RFK.
side. Or sorry, RFK. He's the only one that's on your side, and you have all these top experts all over the world that are jumping on this guy and saying, "Listen, what you're saying is misleading.
to, right,
You're misleading the public." And it's like, well, hang on a second. Hang on a second. You guys are getting paid. Most of these people that are in the government, they're funded by big pharma. That's absolute fact. You just need to look at their
Yeah.
you just need to look at them.
Hmm.
So hang on a second. You're saying that a guy that's actually questioning, okay, why are our kids sick? Why is the average person sick? Why is insulin resistance on the rise? Why is every second person having type 2 diabetes, PCOS,
Obesity. Yeah.
obesity numbers are going through the roof at the moment, and you're telling me that obesity is going through the roof at the moment, but our only solution is to put people on a weight loss injection. That's your only solution. We can't do anything else. When people are diabetic, our only solution, we can't control this, but we need to put these people on metformin for the rest of their lives.
right.
I'm sorry, honestly, it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. And I've worked with women in the last 4 years. These women were told your chances of giving birth are limited. I've worked with a lot of PCOS women that were told, like, listen, you need to go down the IVF route. Do you know how much IVF costs in this country? You're looking at about 20 grand.
Yeah,
These
Oh,
people are
same
told
here.
that,
At
listen,
least that much
yeah,
here. Yes.
you're told in this country that if you've got PCOS, your chances of having a child are limited unless you have IVF. It's absolutely criminal. I've taken these people on. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. Within 6 months, Angela, these women are getting pregnant.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're getting pregnant. Now, I'm not a doctor. All I'm doing is saying, okay, listen, I just have a funny feeling that you guys need to be on a higher fat diet.
Yep.
I'm just guessing here. That's all I'm doing. I'm just guessing.
Yep.
I'm not saying it will work. I'm just saying let's go down this route and let's see what happens. Within 6 months, they're getting back to me and saying, Mark, it's a miracle. I'm going to be having a child. How do you know this stuff? And I'm like, I don't know this stuff. This is the way you should be eating. This is what I'm trying to explain. It's just insane. And I had this conversation with a doctor a year ago. And this is when I knew we're all screwed. When I mentioned to the doctor, I said, listen, do you know what cholesterol is? You know what he said to me? He said to me, yeah, there's good and bad cholesterol. When he said that to me, I was like, okay, we're in trouble here. These guys don't even know proper nutrition. So, I mean, that's what we're up against.
Right.
We're up
Yeah.
against this, and it's so sad that everybody's convinced that when you struggle with your health, the doctors have your best intentions.
Absolutely.
It makes me
They
so
don't know.
it makes me so angry. It makes me so angry.
I agree. Makes me so angry too. And I hear you. I'm the same with my clients. I say the same thing. I put them on animal-based carnivore diets, and I see miracles change in their health because it's the one area in their life that they're not focusing on. They would rather, not that they would rather, but most of them, are used to taking pills and don't realize that they got to look at their diet first. They also got to look at their environment. They got to look at
Yeah,
not only what they're eating, but what they're thinking, what they're believing,
yeah,
what stories are they telling themselves? Because we all know that we are one decision away from healing. And we have to make that conscious decision
Yeah.
to
Hmm.
to release ourselves from the stories, from the programming, the conditioning that these doctors in our society are telling us, and come back to ourselves. You know, we in order to heal, we have to remove the thing that's making us sick.
yeah. It's all about control, Angela. And the way I see it is, if we give up our control, we're in serious trouble. That's the way I see it.
Right. Because once we give up our control, when then someone else has control over us. And
Yeah,
that's what they want. They want us
100%.
they want us to feel powerless. And
Yeah,
my mission is to give people their power back and take their.
yeah, 100%.
I have a question, Angela. We were talking before you came on about coaching and the approach to carnivore. If your clients come to you for Reiki healing, are they necessarily in the mindset of becoming meat eaters on a regular basis? How do you introduce carnivore to your clients?
Well, so my practice is it's holistic. So Reiki is just another modality that I offer. But the
Okay.
majority of my clients, they come because they are battling a chronic condition. So I have to start with let's go to the let's build the foundation first. The foundation for me is nutrition. So I look at their diet, I look at their lifestyle, I look at their environment, their relationships, and we start there before we even get to the Reiki and the energy work, because we cannot heal a body that's not even nutritionally balanced or sound first.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's when I will, based on what their health history is and where they are, that's when we'll start. Everybody is different because I create customized healing programs to support them. So it's either going to be an animal, it always is going to be animal based focused. Now, if we go towards the keto, the lion diet, the animal based diet, that just comes down to where they are metabolically. But ultimately, my goal is to lead them towards at least 90% to 100% carnivore. Like I said, it just depends on the person and the individuality at the time, and I make adjustments as we go based on how their energy changes. So once they're more nutritionally sound and balanced and grounded within their diet, then we go into more energy work. And,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest, the majority of my clients right now are coming from the carnivore community. So that right there is actually even more helpful because I'm not really focusing on converting. I don't have to
Yeah.
it's like saving me a lot. And so then I just look at, okay, if they're still struggling, then I look at, well, how much fat are they eating? Are they eating,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they might be eating too much protein or not enough fat, or they're still adding things that might be causing inflammation. such as dairy, or maybe they need to eliminate eggs or pork or chicken, and we just stick with ruminants, or maybe they're struggling with histamine issues. So there are so many things that just being in the carnivore space can have its own challenges, but
Mm.
I'm here to walk alongside those people so that I can help them get back their life.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
I'm the very, very same. I go through the process as well. When I take them on, I'm like, okay, I would rather get the feedback off them. So at the very, very beginning, it's common sense. We eliminate the processed food, so they feel good. Their energy, they get this energy switch. It impacts the mind. Everything's going in the right direction. Then they're asking questions like, okay, well, I'm still not feeling good, and it's like, well, maybe let's look at the carbohydrates. Let's remove the carbohydrates. And they're like, well, I'm getting better. Things are going the right direction. So at this point, they trust you.
Right.
Anything they say, they're trusting you. So there's anything you throw at them, then they're going to do it. So at this stage, I know I have them in the palm of my hand. So when I say to them, okay, listen, you're still having these gut issues, let's remove the fiber. Let's remove all the fiber, the grains, the vegetables, everything, the fruits. They won't even question me. They'll just do it. They'll just do it straight away. Then, like you mentioned, if they're saying to me, well, I still have a gut issue, it could be down to dairy, it could be a histamine issue. So I find that if you're dealing with a histamine issue, remove the beef, let's add in some more lamb. If you're still struggling, it could be you need more fat in the diet. So let's remove the egg whites. Let's add in more yellows. Let's add in more fat and let's see what happens. So there's always ways. Not everybody's the same. I think people need to understand that what works for one person is not going to work for others. I mean, I find that with a lot of females, they really, really struggle with dairy. They really, really struggle. A lot of people in the carnivore space are convinced that you can eat carb, you can eat butter, and you can. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with butter. It's an amazing fat source. But I just find for women, they struggle, especially when they want to lose weight. They struggle big time. And then the gut issue is another big issue. They don't. Some people can tolerate beef very, very easily, but then other people really struggle. They have massive gut issues. They have these massive flare-ups, and they don't know what the problem is. And it's just a matter of just removing the beef and saying, right, okay, instead of just going down the beef route, let's just go down the lamb route. And then within days, everything just improves. Magically, just improves. So yeah, it depends on it. It definitely depends on the person because not everybody's the same.
Absolutely.
Angela,
Absolutely.
sorry, do you have any question or any stories of vegetarians or vegans that come to you, like with any issues like that? You said mostly carnivores, but have you had vegans or vegetarians come to you for help, like wanting to switch?
Not really. Actually, I have not
No.
personally worked with anybody that's been a vegetarian or vegan that wants to convert. And for those, I'll stick with just doing the energy work for them, or the healing work.
Mhm.
And mostly the only reason why that they still even are like that, they agree and they come see me, is because they have seen how sick I was, and that they were, a lot of them were like, we're just happy to see that you found something that healed you.
Mm,
And
Yeah.
but that doesn't make them want to convert, unfortunately. But
mm,
they aren't as dogmatic as the stereotypical vegan that
Mhm.
really can, they're not like that, the people that I work with. But I always tell them, well, when it's your time and you're ready, I'll be here with for you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there was a video out a while ago that I watched where a lady was talking about, the energy of the animals that you eat.
I love
And I don't know if you've seen that video or not, but it's pretty. I mean, really, when you're watching it, like I'm kind of thinking, oh my God, like really, am I doing that kind of thing? Because I eat meat, and like the energy from these dead animals are like, you're eating
Mm.
the energy, that kind of thing, and it's like, oh, but I think for a lot of carnivores, like we always give thanks, to like the food that we eat, and we thank the animal and those kind of things, but. Yeah, that video like just kind of like hit me like like it just kind of questions at the moment. You question what you're doing sometimes, but yeah, like we always give thanks. So I don't know if you've seen that video or not.
This is actually one of my favorite topics, actually. I've never seen that video, but I have a whole
Right.
theory about that, actually. Um, so when I was really sick, and I'm a very highly sensitive person, and I believe that when the animal is sacrificed and slaughtered, that it does release some hormones. And I believe that a lot of that can be that stress response can be internalized by people when they're eating the animals, and very highly sensitive individuals, especially if you're dealing with like an autoimmune condition or a chronic health issue. And I remember sometimes I would feel that, what you're saying. And so I changed when I was finding the low histamine meat, one of the things that I found that really helped me heal was switching to halal meat. And because halal meat, when they slaughter the animal, it comes from behind, so the animal doesn't see it coming, and it
Mm,
lowers the amount of stress hormones that gets released when
mm,
the animal is sacrificed. And one of the other things that I also made sure to do is, because I am a Reiki master, I would do Reiki I do, and I still do this to this day. Every time I eat, is I give my food Reiki, and I clear the energy, but I also will set an intention, and I thank every part of that animal that touched that was touched before it got to my plate. So I thank the land. I thank, obviously I thank God, the creator.
mm,
And I go into the land, the farmer, the producer, the person that slaughtered
um,
the animal, and I ask any of the lower energies that may have been absorbed during that process to be released. And then I give that food an intention, and I give it, gratitude for its life, but then I ask that food to nourish my body, to heal me and give me the energy and strength I need to heal and thrive. And that has helped not only lower my nervous system before I eat, but it also grounds me, but it also makes me feel like I am now energetically connected to my food, and that all of that energy, that excess stress that people are talking about, that they are experiencing when they take on that soul, is now in alignment with mine after I clear it and give it gratitude and thanks. Because to me, this is a circle of life, and everything is connected. So, and there's that quote of like, well, in order for something to live, something has to die, whether you're vegan,
Yeah.
carnivore, omnivore, there's always animals that are going to be sacrificed. I mean, even in vegan diets, if you look at the pesticides and all those animals that die when they're farming the crops, and then you look at all of those pesticides that are going right into the streams, and then those animals are drinking the water from those streams and dying. So there's just, to say that a vegan diet is a no death diet, I think people need to understand that. But also, we need to understand that, this is the circle of life, and this is how our evolution was designed. We
Yeah, and then when you look at us as humans, like you said, the same thing. There's no life without death. Simple.
yeah,
We can't survive on a vegan diet. We never will.
right,
No, it's not.
No matter what these people say, you will never be able to survive eating plants.
It doesn't
So
sustain life. No, not
no.
for humans.
So I
It
mean, at
doesn't.
the end of the day, we're humans. At the end of the day, we know what we should be eating. It all comes down to if you're in a situation where you have to survive and you've got two choices, you either feed on plants or you feed on meat.
right,
Any vegan every day of the week will always choose meat.
right,
They'll try and convince you and say they won't, but complete rubbish because they won't last. They won't last a week.
right,
No.
Mm.
The stories are out there, right? Like the healing stories are out there, and it's not about like the weight loss. It's about the people who have healed, and there every day there's more and more healing stories out there. And the thing is that people like you just can't deny it. Like it's there. Like your story, Angela,
Mm.
like us all. We all have a story, and people can't deny it. Like we're not lying about our stories. Like this is what we did to heal. And I'm sorry, but it's like what you said. If I could heal on ice cream and chocolate cake, I would.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
this is what
But you
we're
can't.
healing on, right? Like we are
Mm.
all healing on by removing all the toxins and poisons in our diet and meat is it like that's where we found our healing from, and people just can't deny it. Like this is happening, and we should all work together as
Can I?
humans
Can
on
I?
this planet.
Abs- Absolutely. Can I just add a point as well? Every single one of us know that when it comes to sugar, sugar feeds cancer cells. Now, why doesn't a doctor not know this? I don't.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. Like this is just crazy. This is what I just don't get. So
They should know.
if it's this powerful, then why are we still convincing people that eating sugar in moderation is perfectly fine?
They're brainwashed into the pharmaceutical industry and they have to comply or they'll
So,
lose their business.
so Angela, with your cancer, you said you had breast cancer, right? So like it's completely gone. Like you don't have anything. Like you don't have any cancers left, or it's just totally gone.
right. So they can finally, I think, after 5 years, once you're in remission for 5 years, you can. I don't think you can ever use the word cured, but
Mhm.
there's
Right.
no evidence of disease anymore.
Wow.
So
Wow.
uh, so I had to have a mastectomy, unfortunately. But I didn't have any chemo or radiation. Luckily, they were able to get it all within the mastectomy. But I used, instead of going on tamoxifen, I was trying to use my diet to keep myself, in remission. And so that's why I've been, I really wanted to find the right modality to keep myself in remission. So unfortunately, I spent a lot of time eating plants because that's what
Mm.
my cancer doctors were suggesting me do. But I couldn't understand why I never, like, I got to a place of, well, I'm kind of better, but why am I not like feeling 100% all the time?
Mm.
So it really, to have my life where it is right now, it's a miracle to me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this
Mhm.
is it's a miracle to be able to do the things that I'm doing and operate at this capacity because I was never able to do that before in my life.
But see, even when you said that, Angela, it's a miracle. That's what people will jump on. They'll say you're just a miracle. You're one out of a million people. This doesn't happen to the average person. You know what I mean? This is what we hear all the time. It's just a miracle. It doesn't happen to everybody. whereas it
It
does.
does.
You just need to go
It
out and
does.
research. You just need to go
Yes,
out and
it
research.
does.
Because, like, I know in the last I've been carnivore now 4 years.
Yeah.
I've been carnivore now 4 years, and I've seen that in the last 4 years, this is just growing. It's actually getting more popular now. I think more people are actually waking up. I notice it in my shops that the likes of red meat, it's flying off the shelves now. Whereas 4 years
Good.
ago, it was always left on the shelves. Like
Mm.
I go into my local shop now, and there's hardly nothing left.
Yeah.
It's all gone.
Oh,
It's
So
good.
it's like, hang on a second, are people waking up? Are they actually
Mm.
questioning things? And it's good to see. Honestly, I think it's good to see. I think the more people that are spending more time in the meat aisle, let's do it, 100%.
Yeah. I agree. And I also want to emphasize that, for me, I honor the whole animal and I believe in the power of organ meat. And I don't want to say that to the point where people are like hoarding the organ meat and they're over consuming it because I think there has to be a balance with that.
Mm.
But my major change when I was just doing from just starting out, just doing the lion diet, and was the big thing for me was when I started adding organ meat. I never really loved liver, so I don't really consume that much, but the other organs such as heart, brain, kidneys, and like the sweetbreads, which are the thymus and pancreas, and tongue and oxtail and testicles. I mean, I consumed a little bit of liver here and there, but those other organs that I just mentioned, those to me were such powerhouses for me, especially because I was so nutrient deficient from all the years of not eating that much meat and being pretty plant based, but also being so ridden with toxins and plagued with viruses and toxicities and chronic fatigue that for me I had such a game changer, especially when I added in brain. And I that's like my favorite organ is lamb brain. I think it's the
Hmm.
most underrated and most powerful organ we can consume, especially
Really?
for those of us who are dealing with any type of uh, neurological issues or depression or cognitive functions because it's super high in DHA. And that is such a great tool to put in your toolbox when it comes to carnivore. I mean, I know people say like you don't need them, and maybe some people don't, but I always encourage them for my people with autoimmune conditions and chronic infections and that are chronically ill because I think that from my own experience, like that was such, and it continues to be such a game changer for me in my health. And you kind of just I use them medicinally at points. So like there are months where I don't eat any organs, and then there are months where I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm feeling
Mm.
like I need a little more. So I'll eat them. And they're really great, especially if you have like an MTHFR variant and your body's not producing folate. These organ meats are higher in folate, so you don't have to take supplements. So that's something that I always love to talk about is just really honoring the animal and really eating. And the eyes are really delicious too. I had them when I was in the UK. I made
Wow.
and I was in London and I was eating eyes and I was like, these are delicious. Like,
I've
so
never heard that.
yeah,
Neither have I.
No, I've
Neither have
never
I.
tried them either.
so
Yeah.
good. They're
Neither have
so
Interesting.
I.
good. But yeah, I really do enjoy eating the whole animal, and I always recommend it if you haven't tried some of those
100%.
other organs to check them
Mhm.
out.
Wow.
Well,
Well, guys, I
well,
have to I have to go, but you guys continue the conversation. I have an early start tomorrow, and I have to have my dinner. But Angela, it's been a pleasure. It's nice to meet you again, and I wish you all the success in the world with your business. I hope everything goes really, really well. And guys, I'll be speaking to you very, very soon.
Okay, Mark. Thank
Thank
you.
you
Hey,
so
Mark.
much.
All right, speak soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah, Angela, it's been a pleasure talking to you. It's wonderful to hear. And the interesting bit about the organ meat, that's kind of news to me because I follow Dr. Chafee and he goes, "Oh, you don't need to eat that." But I think I'll start again.
And that's the thing. It's one of those things where I like listen to your body, right? If you're
Mm-hmm.
not feeling called to, then don't. But if there are
Hmm.
some things that maybe you're not feeling, like if you are dealing with an autoimmune condition or a chronic infection, maybe adding some organ meats might help you, especially for me it was energy levels.
Hmm.
I remember eating my first few bites of liver when I was really sick with Lyme and in bed. It was one of the first times that I wanted to go for a run. I could have done laps
Really
around my house. I was so energized. And I
wonderful.
almost didn't even go to sleep that night because I was so awake from all of the vitamins just rushing into my body. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm paying like hundreds of dollars for these vitamin drips in my doctor's office when I could just be eating liver. And then
Hmm.
I mean, like I said, like it's one of those things where like wasn't my favorite, but man, did I feel great. But then I thought, well, there has to be some other organ meats that I can try that'll give me a similar nutritional profile. So then I went into experimenting with heart. And heart to me tasted like steak, but made me also feel like a superhuman. And then,
Hmm.
I started eating kidney, and kidney is high in the DAO enzyme as well as the sweetbreads. And the DAO enzymes are the diamine oxidase enzymes that help break down histamine in the body. So for those who
Yes.
are suffering
Hmm.
from mast cell or histamine intolerance, eating kidney versus which is like what, like $3 or $4, right? You can eat a kidney, or
Hmm.
that's less expensive than buying these DAO enzyme products, which can be rather expensive. So my our bodies just, I feel like if it can digest it in food form, it's a much better alternative than taking it in pill form. And I
Well,
truly.
it's amazing. I was just going to say it's amazing as carnivores that we're always trying to feel even better. Like, it's like, can I feel even better? Let's try this. Can I feel better? Like, can I feel better? Because I recently came off dairy and I didn't realize that just by giving up dairy, like, wow, I do feel better now. And, but you don't know until you try. And we're always doing these little experiments, like, just trying different things to feel even better. But I don't eat a lot of the like the organ meats. I do eat liver, cod liver and stuff. But every now and then I'll get a venison heart or something like that. But I'm gonna try now to try and make a point of eating more organ meats to see. Yeah, it's a good idea, I think.
And they're cost effective. That's what I think the other thing is. A lot of people come into this world, in our world, and they're like, I can't afford to eat this way. And I tell them, well, if you
Mhm.
supplement with some organs, they're really cheap. And, you can go to Wild Fork and get some sweetbreads for $4 for a half a pound. So it's like you just kind of use them as a supplementation.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
adding deep fat trimmings. It's another great cost effective way of getting more nutrition in the diet. And so you're not spending all of your money on steaks and muscle meat and the other, and also like roasts, oxtails, things like that. Those are just great options so that you can afford, for people that can't afford to eat ribeyes every day. I know I can't. Um, and even if I could, I don't want to because I enjoy having a variety of different cuts of meat every day. It makes it more interesting.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
Sure.
big on chuck roasts
Oh,
lately.
yeah.
I got an instant pot and it really works well with chuck.
Yes, I love chuck roast. And the Instant Pot is great for that because it produces such a great broth.
Yeah, and yes, that and the meat is like silk. It's just so tender.
Yes.
And yeah, you get all the nutrients in the broth too. It's great. Well, I think we're going to wrap up at this point, and I want to thank you very much, Angela, for joining us, and Lisa, you too. Nice to have you. It's our first time with Lisa,
Oh,
and we hope to see you again.
can I just make a comment that I love that we all wore green today?
Oh, hello. Yeah. I don't know what Mark was wearing, but we're in green.
Yeah,
It's the
Yeah,
spiritual
it's a great
connection.
color. It's one of my favorites.
that's
Me
what I'm
too. It
talking
is my
about. That's
favorite.
what
Yes,
I'm talking
yes.
about.
Excellent,
About
excellent.
energy and connection. I had a completely different shirt in mind that I was going to wear today. And then I was getting dressed and I said, I feel like I have to wear green. That was just the
Oh,
message that came through.
There you go.
I'm like, we're
that's
all
There's
weird
a
because
connection.
yeah, that's kind of like me too. Because I did have another shirt on, and then I went for a walk, and then Mark called me, and I'm like, well, I don't have any makeup on, but I got to fix myself up, and I put on my Tennessee shirt, which is green.
All
I
right.
love it. I love that we're all in green. It's a good sign. You see, like we're
It's
all
Yeah,
lovely.
energetically connected.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
great. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. This has
Thank
been
you,
wonderful.
Victoria.
And maybe we'll meet up
Yes,
again.
absolutely. Thank
Okay.
you so much, ladies, for having me, and I'm honored to be a part of your podcast
I'll,
and look forward
I'll see
to
you
talking
at
with you both.
Meatstock, Angela,
Yes,
Yeah, me too. I'm going to get
and
my ticket.
yes,
so
yes,
we'll all see each other at Meatstock.
yes,
Yeah, and wear green.
yes, yes. I'll be doing another talk probably about, I think we're doing a talk about histamine and leaky gut. I'll be
Nice,
doing
Hmm.
a panel or a talk about that. So I'm really looking forward to that.
awesome. Me
Very
too.
good.
Okay,
Wonderful. Thank you all so much.
thank
Okay,
you.
bye
Yes,
now.
take care. Bye.
Okay, bye.